These are the answers for exercise 12.1. So we start with question 1. And question 1a says, calculate the sizes of the angles represented by the letter, show all workings and give your reasons. So to start off, we draw the following table to give our statement and reason. So if we look at this diagram, we have that it's given that AC is equal to CB. So immediately I know that this angle over here will be equal to this angle over here. So this would also be equal to X. Now, before we find X, we need to find this angle over here. So to start off, I'm going to say that AC is equal to CB, and that is given. Then, to find this angle over here, I'm going to, I see that these two angles are angles on a straight line, so I'm going to say that BAC, angle BAC, is equal to, or angle BAC plus 124 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. And our reason is angles on a straight line. Alright, so now we just solve for BAC. So BAC will then be equal to 180 minus 124. So that is 180 minus 124, and that gives us 56 degrees. So 56 degrees. Alright, so now that we have this, since we have this angle over here being 56 degrees, we know that it's equal to this angle because this is equal angles, opposite equal sides. So we'll say that X is equal to 56 degrees, and our reason is angles opposite equal sides. Alright, now to find Y, I can just once again apply angles on a straight line because these two angles together give me 180. So I'm going to say that Y plus X's value 56 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, and our reason is angles on a straight line. Okay, and then we solve for Y. So Y is then equal to 180 minus 56. So 180 minus 56, and that gives me 124. So 124 degrees. Alright, and then we have this angle A. Now we have these two angles, so we can use angles in a triangle because they all add up to 180. So I'm going to say that A plus 56 degrees plus 56 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, angles of a triangle. And then I just solve for A. So A will be equal to 180 minus 56 minus 56. So this is 180 minus 56 minus 56. And that gives me 68 degrees. Then for B, so the question says calculate the sizes of the angles represented by the letter, show all your working and give reasons. So over here we see we've got A, X, Y, and Z. So easiest thing, or the one that would be that we can already see to start with, is X over here, because we've got all the other two angles of this triangle. So this one is 34 degrees, this one's 90 degrees, so I can find X by just adding them up and equal them to 180. So we have X plus 34 degrees plus 90 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, and our reason angles of a triangle. And then I just solve for X. So X will then be equal to 180 degrees minus 34 degrees minus 90 degrees. And that would give me 180 minus 34 minus 90. And that's equal to 56 degrees. So X is equal to 56 degrees. All right. Now we need to find y. So all three of these angles lie on a straight line. We've just seen that 56 degrees, or x is equal to 56. So to find y, I'm just going to add up all these angles and equal them to 180. So this is then y plus 56 degrees plus 53 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. So y will then be equal to 180 minus these two angles. So this is then going to be 180 minus 56 minus 53 equals to 71 degrees. Okay, and next up we've got z. Now as you can see, these two lines are given that they are equal. So that means that this angle over here will be equal to this angle over there. So we have that z is equal to 71 degrees. And our reason is angles opposite equal sides. So angles opposite equal sides. And I forgot to write down the reason for this one. This was just angles of a triangle. Angles on a straight line. Right, and then finally we can solve for a. So a, these are all angles of a triangle. So once again I can say that a plus 71 degrees plus 71 degrees is equal to 180. And our reason is angles of a triangle. And then solve for a. So a is equal to 180 minus 71, let's say 180 minus 71 minus 71 is equal to 38 degrees. And then we have 1c. So once again, we need to solve for x, y, and z. Now, these two angles are on a straight line, so that's pretty easy. That should be x plus 66 degrees is equal to 180, because they both angles on a straight line add up to 180. So our reason is just angles on a straight line. And then we solve for x. So x is equal to 180 minus 66. So this gives us 114 degrees. Okay, and then y, also these two are lie on a straight line. So once again, I'm going to say that y plus 124 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, angles on a straight line. And I solve for y by taking the 124 over and subtracting it on the other side. So that's 180 minus 124, and that gives us 56 degrees. Alright, and now we are left with z over here, and we've got angles of a triangle where all of these are known. We know this is 114 degrees, we know this is 56 degrees, so I just add up all three and equal them to 180. So I have z plus 114 degrees plus 56 degrees, and that would be equal to 180 degrees. My reason is angles of a triangle, and then solve for z. So z is then equal to 180 minus 114 minus 56, so that's equal to 10. And then for d, so we draw our table, statement, reason, and then we need to solve for a, b, c, d, and e. Alright, so now to start off with, here we can see what's given is that AC runs parallel with EG. We're also given that DB is equal to DF. Alright, so since these are parallel and we want to find A, what relationship does it have to another known angle? If I look at 36, there's no significant relationship, but if I look at 100, I can see these two angles are co-interior angles. So that means that they add up to 180. So I'm going to say A plus 100 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. My reason is co-interior angles, and I have to state which lines are parallel. AC is parallel to EG. Alright, so now this is easy to solve. A will then just be equal to 80 degrees, since take the 100 over and we subtract it on the other side. Alright, now for B. So if I have that this is now 80 degrees, these three angles lie on a straight line, so they add up to 180 degrees. So if I say B plus 36 plus 80 degrees, that must all equal to 180 degrees, and my reason is angles on a straight line. Then I can solve for B. So B is equal to 180 minus the other two angles. 180 minus 80, that gives me 100, minus another 36. I think it's just going to be 64. Yes. So that's then 64 degrees. Okay, and then we have C. Now notice that DB, we know that DB is equal to DF, and that is given. So therefore, we know if B is 64 degrees, then this angle over here, which is opposite that equal angle, is equal to this angle over here. So this C will also be 64 degrees. So I can just state that C is equal to 64 degrees, and my reason is angles opposite equal sides. Right, then moving on to D, we have these two angles, and that's just the third angle of a triangle. Now we know angles of a triangle add up to 180, so I'm going to say that D plus 64 degrees plus 64 degrees is equal to 180 degrees, and then solve for D. So my reason here will be angles of a triangle, and D will then be equal to 180 minus 64 minus 64. So this is then equal to 52 degrees. Okay, and finally we've got E. Now we can solve it by using angles on a straight line. So I think let's do that. We have that E plus 64 degrees plus 100 degrees must equal 180 degrees. Angles on a straight line. And then I solve for E. So E will then be equal to 180 minus 64 minus 100, and this is equal to 16 degrees. Then 1E. So once again, we draw statement, reason. Okay, so we have A, B, C, D, E, F. All right, let's start with A. So if we look at A, we see that that is in a triangle where the other two angles are known. So I'm going to say that A plus 90 degrees plus 55 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. So this is angles of a triangle. All right, and then solving for A, this will give me 90. So let's just do the whole thing. 180 minus 90 minus 55. So this is 35 degrees. All right, now moving on to B. B is over here, and one thing let's just look at everything that's given. We are given that this MN is parallel to RQ, and also we're given that NQ is parallel to RS. So perhaps we can use that somewhere, because if I look at these two angles over here, they are corresponding. So that means that B is equal to 70 degrees, because corresponding angles are equal to each other. So my reason, corresponding angles. And I need to state that this MN is parallel to QR. Okay, and then for C, so here we have angles in a triangle again. So if we know that this is 70, this one we know is 90, then we have that C plus 70 degrees plus 90 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. And our reason is angles of a triangle. And solve for C. So C then is equal to 180. It's just 180 minus 70 minus 90. This gives me 20 degrees. Okay, and then after C, we go on to D. All right, so D lies on a straight line with two other known angles. So they will all add up to 180. So I have D plus 55 degrees plus 70 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. So this is angles on a straight line. And solving for D, we say that 180 minus 70 minus 55 is equal to 55. So this is then 55 degrees. Okay, then E. All right, so we can see that this line going through here cuts these two parallel lines. So D and E are alternate angles. That means that E is also equal to 55 degrees because they are alternate angles. Remember, alternate angles form a Z or an N, where we have these two that's alternate and those two lines parallel. So this is alternate angles, and my two parallel lines are NQ being parallel to RS. Okay, and then F. So easiest way is F, this angle being equal to this angle because they are corresponding angles. So I can just simply say that F is equal to 55 degrees, and my reason is corresponding angles. And I have that NQ is parallel to RS. Okay, now for question 2. 2a, in each case calculate the sizes of the angles represented by the letters, show all your workings and give reasons. Okay, so here we again say statement and reason, and notice that all three sides of this triangle is equal. So that means that if I just state that DG is equal to GE is equal to DE, and just say that that's a given, therefore X will be equal to 60 degrees, because we've seen that in an equilateral triangle all the angles are equal to 60 degrees. So this will then, my reason will then be equilateral triangle. Okay, that was easy enough. Then for Y, we've got two angles on a straight line, so that means that Y plus 60 degrees will be equal to 180 degrees, and my reason, angles on a straight line. And then I solve for Y. Y is just then 180 minus 60 degrees, so this gives me 120 degrees. And then we have question B. So here it says that GL and HK are straight lines. So these are straight lines, and we need to solve for X. Right, so we write statement and reason. So the first thing we see that there's a X over here and there's a X over here. Now another thing is we're given that these lines are parallel. That makes these two angles, this one and this one, that makes these two angles alternate angles, because you can see that they form a N or a Z. So therefore I can equal them to each other. So I can say that 2x minus 60 degrees will be equal to x plus 10 degrees, and my reason is alternate angles, and that the lines that are parallel are GH parallel to KL. Okay, and then I solve for x. So remember equations, we take all the terms that contain x to the left hand side, and when I take over a term it changes sign, equals to 10 degrees plus 60 degrees. So this is then x equal to 70 degrees. Okay, so that done, we need to solve for y. Now in order to solve for y, the y we can see is equal to this angle, but we're not going to take that route. Let's say that we've got these vertically opposite angles. So let's say that KJL, so KJL is equal to 34 degrees, and my reason is vertically opposite angles. So what I'm going to do is, if I have this 34 over here and I have this being x is what, 70 degrees, so this whole angle is 70 plus 10, so that gives me 80 degrees. But let's just substitute everything in as it is, because we know that all of these added together is 180 degrees. So I'm going to say that y plus 34 degrees plus this x plus 10 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. My reason, angles of a triangle. And then since I know x's value is 70, I can just substitute that in there. So we have y plus 34 degrees plus 70 degrees plus 10 degrees equals to 180, and now I'm in the position to solve for y. So y then is equal to 180 minus 10 minus 70 minus 34. So this will give me 66 degrees. And then question 2c. So once again, in each case, calculate the size of the angles represented by letters and show all your workings and give your reasons. Okay, so here we first draw our table, and over here we see that we've got each of these angles in terms of x, okay? But we do know that all these angles add up to 180. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this plus this expression plus that expression and just equal them to 180. So we have 3x minus 90 plus 2x plus 50 degrees, and then plus x minus 20 degrees, and that's all equal to 180 degrees. So my reason is simply angles of a triangle, and then I solve for x. So we have all our x's already on the one side, so I'm going to say that 3x plus 2x plus x is equal to, and then take the others over to the other side. So this is then, this minus 90 becomes plus 90 over here, and then this plus 50 becomes minus 50, and this minus 20 becomes plus 20 degrees. Alright, so now add my like terms. This is 6x, so 6x is equal to, and this is 180 plus 90 minus 50 plus 20, and this gives me 240 degrees. Alright, and then I just divide both sides by 6 to get x on its own, and 240 divided by 6, or 24 divided by 6 is 4, so 240 divided by 6 will then be 40 degrees.
That's all, folks!